Go live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Zoom and the YouTube live. Hello, everyone. So apparently the YouTube is delayed a few seconds. So if people can mute so that it doesn't echo. All right. We're going to wait for a couple of minutes. People are still trying to get in. Hello, Zabi. Hello, Eri. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
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 Should I make an introduction, I guess? So welcome to the YouTube live and the Zoom meeting. If you have any questions, you can type on the chat. You can also raise your hand. This is the live with the Nobodies. And thank you for coming. So I will make an introduction, and then Ere, maybe Zabi will do another one. So what is being suggested is this non-separateness, or simply not two, which defies precise description and is basically the unknowing of all knowing. Although there's no one to know or to unknow, it cannot really be articulated from a separate position, as it points out to an apparent expression that is both empty and all-encompassing, timeless and complete, real or unreal. This suggestion explores to elucidate this non-separateness, this non-separation, that is emphasizing that it is an ineffable quality of what is already complete, done, which becomes apparent as the illusory personal appearance unravels. The apparent unraveling reveals that there was no separate character in the first place. So this non-separateness, what is being suggested, challenges the idea of a distinct separation to overcome or wholeness to achieve. There's no getting to this. It emphasizes that this non-separateness is not a positive or negative prescription, but rather a neutral statement of simply what is already complete, already done. This unknowable unicity, this unthinkable wholeness. So the illusory nature of a personal identity is exposed, highlighting basically how the perceived separation is a mere appearance and has no inherent reality. So this non-separateness is expressed as an extraordinary, unattainable, and uncompromising freedom that already exists as this. So this expression goes beyond any description, any descriptive conditioning, and offers a profound insight into the expression of this non-separateness. When the illusory person apparently dissolves, although there's no one that dissolves, the illusory person seeks value in what can be owned or known, failing to recognize this conditionless freedom, this unconditional wow that is continually longed for and remains unknowable. Simply, there's nobody to know nobody. There's nobody to become nobody, someone to know someone, or someone to become a nobody. It simply is already this separateness. Thank you. Go ahead, please, if you, Ere or Zabi.
Yeah. What else to add? Um, very difficult to say even anything, because everything is this already, and this is all there is. It's so simple and ordinary for this apparent mind. Just this, whatever it is, however it appears there, is already this unconditional freedom, or call it as you like. As you like it, it doesn't matter. It's free, it's unconditional, and there is no way that you can get it. There is no movement towards this, what is already the case. Every seeming choices, apparent choices you are apparently doing, are already done. Even when there is this trouble of choosing the right way, there is no chooser, there is no doer, there is no seeker, there is no dreamer. No one will die. There is already no one, no separation. It's already full and complete and perfect, because this is all there is, apparently. There is nothing right or nothing wrong, and you never did anything wrong or bad, or nobody did anything wrong or bad to you. Although in the story, it may seem like that all appearances or actions, reactions are empty. This is emptiness, empty fullness. And as it is perfect, but not for me, not for you, not for anyone. There is no separation. Sabi, something to add?
Yeah, it's already the case. There is no seeker. There never was a seeker. You can say maybe that's the surprise. There was never anyone moving through time searching. It was just a dream. This is already these words. It's everything. That's all I have right
now. So what's also being suggested is the apparent experience of real separation, which apparently manifests the I am experience, accompanied by a sense of discontent and the need for something to happen. The need to know serves as a barrier that hinders the realization of the unknowable freedom of what already is. This inherent of what isness, this non-separateness challenges the expectations and needs of seekers, undermining their beliefs and demanding a radical shift in perception that this is already complete and whole. Apparently, when confronted with this communication of this non-separateness, seekers may react in various ways driven by the personal experience. There might be a rejection of the communication due its divergence from their self-perception and expectations. Apparent others may misunderstand or misinterpret the concepts leading to attacks on their misunderstandings. So this is to acknowledge that these reactions are inherent functions of the personal experience of the I am. I need to get there. And not a result of free will or choice, because there's no such thing. It's just simply what is. It's already perfection, and there's nothing that's needed because already is what it is. And again, these conversations are usually moot. It's a moot point because there's really nothing to discuss. It's already done. But somehow this conversation arises. These questions seem to come. And there's a first question here. Hi, Emerson. We say, this is it already, whole and complete. But sometimes you say it's what is seen by no one. Is that is just an appearance, a dream? Does that meant that this is just an apparent dream arising? Again, in the absence of words, in the directness, even saying this is actually, it complexes it. It creates complexity of something that's already simple. There are words that are being used as illusion, dream, what is, this is it. But those words are actually just like barriers as well of something that cannot really be expressed properly. It cannot really be fully be said. It's unspeakable. It's unthinkable. It already is what is. It's already whole and complete. Maybe sometimes there is a seeming kind of like trying to hold on to what's being said here as gospel or dogma, but it's not. This is just the openness. This is the free open waters of not knowing. Thank you for the question. Leela, who do you want to ask? I can't hear you. Oh, you have to unmute yourself.
I said, okay, ba, ba, ba. See, the mouth is moving, but no words are coming out.
Exactly.
You can fill in the blank. This is mostly directed to Ere and Zabe because you already do this. But when I listen to new non-dual speakers, like there's a bunch now, a bunch new crop out there, Izzy and a whole bunch of people, and you can hear from the language they use who their teacher is, where their influence is, because they're using the same language that person or group of people use. So whether they're in the Tony Parsons, Jim Newman camp, or they're in the Emerson a little bit, or they're in the Rupert Spot, or whoever they've been listening to, you can hear it in the choice of language to describe this, because nothing can really describe it, right? So there's a lot of repetition of the same sorts of words. And what I love about what you do, Emerson, is you throw words all over the place. It makes it really hard to grab onto them, because if you actually logically believed or took any of them as gospel, your head would blow up, because you're constantly contradicting yourself and you're constantly throwing all kinds of words all over the place. And I think, Ari, you're also starting to do that. And I think it's a really great way to teach, because people tend to want to grasp the words and make them mean something. And I think that the more creative and sort of off the wall with words you can be as a pointer, instead of the ocean wave or the movie and the screen or whatever, the usual metaphors, the usual, this is both this, I don't know, whatever. I can't even say it right now because I'm not a non-dual speaker, but it kind of comes out automatically. To actually, okay, so the final thing is I started taking an acting improv class, and the prompt is, whatever you're thinking you're going to say next, don't say that, say something else, right? Anything else, just from left field. And I think that is an awesomely creative and wonderful way to teach what this is, because as you're saying, Emerson, no words apply. No words are really saying anything about it. And I know, as a longtime seeker, when I hear the same word over and over again, I won't realize anything and I sort of tune out. But when someone says it sideways, it's like, oh, wait a minute. So anyway, that was my point, and I'm interested in comments.
when I'm speaking about this, what can't be spoken about, I often say that every word is empty and here is no truth. So don't try to grasp what is said here. It's totally empty, meaningless. And also trying to use different words to describe this. But here is English language is a little bit limited. So I am using this limited amount of words to describe this. And here is just love and compassion, or passion is the right word, towards this openness, this nothingness. And yeah, and I love to express this. But,
and it's also, Ari, when you do some of your things you did on the beach or when you were on vacation, when you're looking at, it's also the tree or the bark or the fish or the sand between your two, like tactile. And this is my real experience in this moment of how this is here, how it feels. And then somehow in my experience that wakes something up, because we all have our daily mundane experience, right? And it's not in spiritual language, it's in daily mundane language. Yeah, it's a Ariana, when she used to do this, she was really good at it. Ariana Reflects. She was really like, whoa, look at that, or that, or that, or that, or that. Or sometimes it's just communicated in the face, right? In the expression, in the joy, in the wonder. I don't know. And anyway, I'm not suggesting change. I'm just saying I've noticed. It's because we're talking about language here, you know. I'm not, it's not a criticism. It's just a statement.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, there is already no one giving any suggestions, so it's totally empty. And it doesn't apparently land here also. It is what it is. And it seems like there is resonance towards to some speakers. And it doesn't mean that some speakers are better than other ones. It is just what it is. And of course, there can be some kind of language influence and conditioning happening for the brain or body. Yeah, and yeah, I love also how Emerson is expressing this through different stories, using different words. And then, yeah, I also try to express this, that I often say unconditional love, that this is unconditional love, but this have very big, I don't know, baggage or concept, and every word have seemingly different meaning or concept for different appearances. So yeah, so I'm repeating that every word is totally empty, and every word is this. So it doesn't matter how you call this, pizza or muffin or fullness, completeness, this, the best word, this is all there is. Yeah, and it is everything.
Stepping in dog shit, or
yeah, everything is this.
Pizza. Anyway, okay.
Thanks.
This yumminess and yuckiness. The intimacy. Words are beautiful. They can also be barriers, although there are no words because they're just empty. But Zabi, did you want to add to that? Sorry, I just jumped into it.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, all I was gonna say, it's energetic. It's like all completely energetic. It's like a resonance. Yeah, be magnetic. Yeah, that's it.
And also, it's not the teaching. So you mentioned many times teaching, but there is no teacher and no student. There is no two. So this is purposeless. There is no agenda, no teaching.
Yeah.
No methods.
I said the word teaching, I mean pointing or whatever we're doing here. Chatting.
Entertaining.
Entertaining.
Yeah.
So I have a question.
Sure.
When we talk about just this, how does this, where and I know words are pointers, but when we talk about is it Ere? I think that's your name. When you reference unconditional love, what is that, right? Because I mean, if we're going to use, if we throw words which obviously in some form, shape or form are empty, right? I feel like the expression that lands, or the unexpressible thing that lands for me, is more about peace. But I don't know where unconditional love falls in there.
Well, yeah, this is happening with the words, because you are trying to use this word or put to the concept that you already have to try to understand this, but this is, you can't understand this. And what is unconditional love? Is this? It's anarchy, it's unconditional freedom, fullness, completeness, nothingness, emptiness, this, beloved, all there is unconditional love. So whatever you can imagine, the worst thing is also unconditional love. There are no conditions. This is not about people. It's not personal love. It is completely, absolutely, totally, whatever is arising is unconditional love, or pizza, or muffin, or this.
So yes, so I can see clearly how it's just this. I can see how it's unconditional, right? I can see how it's empty. You know, I can see how it's in a way it's transparent, right? But I still can't see how it's, while it's unconditional, what is the love there?
I don't know. Here is just this word was resonating. Here is lots of love that can't be, I don't know, it's pouring. Everything is love or peace or freedom, but for no one. So yeah, undeniable peace. Whenever here is, I don't know, pain or illnesses or whatever problem, very busy day, there is always sensed peace in everything, as there is no one doing anything. No one did anything wrong or chose wrongly or said something bad. Everything is so empty. Yeah, you can say unconditional emptiness or peacefulness. So it doesn't matter.
So what's being expressed also is it's beyond understanding, beyond concepts or even philosophy. What's being presented again is, it may appear foreign to the seeker's expectation, although there's no seeker. It's going to sound a little bit like an understanding or misunderstanding, because what's being pointed out to extends beyond a mere intellectual understanding or even a philosophical contemplation. What's being emphasized is that there's non-separation. It's indescribable. It's the already unconditional isness. So getting caught up in even words like love and peace, when this is just anarchy and chaos, is basically unrecognizing the word that's being expressed, because that's the limited perception of the I am, or the me, or the character, which is really irrelevant, which is hard to say that. It's basically a futility in the efforts to discover something for itself when there's no self to recognize what's being expressed here. Because this is already unrecognizable freedom that is already this, or this is the boundless love, or whatever words that may appear. They're just basically placeholders for something that cannot be placed, something that cannot be fully expressed. It's just what is. It's the silence and the sound, and there's nothing to know or nothing to unknow. It already is. And there's a few more questions here if you want to add to that, Zabi or anyone. If someone said here, it's like a vibration of word. It is very freeing, not having to listen, yet listening, but not really hearing, but more resonating or feeling. Thank you. Jim goes, unconditional is undefinable. Yes, thank you. And there's a few questions here from YouTube. Michael goes, soap opera forever. Yes. Nick the Weird has some emojis. Advaita who goes, perfect for nobody. Advaita who goes, the story of me. It took me a couple of years to click with the obscure language of non-duality. At first, I thought people like Jim Newman were crazy. These days, there's no more seeking. Hooray. What happened to Ariana? There's no Ariana, but I'm not sure. Michael goes, we had those suing meetings now for a few years. Will it ever end? Nothing ever ends. And then Vita goes, absolutely, Ere.
Nothing ever started. Nothing can end.
That's right. Unconditional love, well, the SK beloved is also the devil, and of course, soap opera. There's a question here, you guys can answer it. If there's no one, why do you keep talking of seekers?
Because apparently in the story, it felt like there was a felt feeling that there was somebody, that there was a seeker. But the quote unquote seeing, or when it drops away, it's seen that it never was. So since we can't really describe or talk about what is, there's no words to this, we can talk about what isn't, or apparently what the seeker does in this little dream world and how it tries to hold on to everything and grasp everything. And yeah, I don't know.
Thank you. Beautiful. There's John, go ahead, please.
Did you call on me, Emerson?
Yes. Hey, John.
Oh.
You raised your hand.
Yeah, well, I understand what you guys are talking about, and it's really, really frustrating in a way. Especially when Leela was talking about terminology and the categories of response to this mystery. I mean, I've had personal conversations with Peter Russell and Jim Newman and that guy Lickerman and like a half a dozen of them. And I just don't personally get anywhere in terms of understanding, because if I attempt to use dual forms of thinking, and I'm talking at that level to another person who's talking at that level, you never quite get there. And it's very, very strange. Now, I don't want to brag. This is not meant to be any seen as any form of personal achievement. When I was 15 or 16, I had a very weird experience. I was working on my little farm that I grew up on Long Island, and I was doing my chores, and all of a sudden I stopped and my left brain turned off, and I was in absolute non-dual mode. And I didn't know what the hell it was. I mean, I had never read anything about this, and you guys are all pretty young, so you don't remember the days before anybody even knew any of the things you're talking about existed. And I had that experience. And so the first thing I did to unravel it, well, not the first thing, I eventually got around to it because it mystified the hell out of me. I began reading and I couldn't find anything. Finally, a friend of mine gave me an old book by Krishnamurti. And he was one of the original guys in America. He came over back in the 1920s or so. And he was a non-dual thinker. And he discussed what I went through, not, specifically in exactly the way it happened, but in that ballpark kind of experience. And I said, okay, so I cannot understand that, because in order to understand that shift, I have to use words and concepts, and then it's gone, because the actual experience was nonverbal. It was just a full appreciation of reality as it is, full stop. And then life went on. I didn't stay 15 years old. I finally got older. And now we're here. This was back in 1949.
Oh, wow.
So I've been around a long time, thinking about this stuff for a long time. And the fascinating thing I find about it is that as time goes on, interest seems to be spiraling upward on this topic. But it is always discussed as from a dual consciousness point of view. And I personally find I can't do that. I mean, I've had experiences, since then, since 1949, I've had thousands of experiences, some of as recent as this week. And that shift still seems to be a viable way to deal with life. But I personally can't get there when I decide to get there. It's got to happen. And I had a medical concern this past couple of weeks, and I went to the doctor this morning, and I had done my best to accept things as they might turn out to be, even though they might be negative in my life. And I found out that everything's no big deal. I don't have to do anything. And apparently I'm going to continue living up to, much to the chagrin of many of my friends. They keep saying, die already. I'm sick of listening to you. But this is an incredible topic. I've never come across you particular guys. I'm not quite sure how I did, but anyhow, it's good to see you all. And I'm sorry, I can't explain non-duality any better than that. Lots of luck, gang.
Well, thank you so much for sharing, John. In this apparent directness, in the absence of words, in the absence of thoughts, what's just being suggested is that if the words are all collapsed and all of the thoughts are seemingly absent, although there's no need to collapse or to make something absent of something that's not already there. For example, in this apparent moment, that there's only this apparent isness. No words, no thoughts, no John. There's no John behind the eyes. There's no John beyond the eyes. It is already what is. So that 15-year-old experience, the left brain or whatever, is also this. The only thing that seems to be separate from this is the idea that it is separate. The only thing that is separate from that idea of something that was achieved or something that apparently happened back in 1949 is the idea that it happened or did not happen. So what's being suggested is in the absence of ideas, in the absence of thoughts, in the absence of a sureness of something that happened, in the collapse of everything, this is already what is. It's already done. And the seeking seems to be propelled by the idea of something that was missed or something that happened. Again, in the idea of that not being present or that being absent, it is already completely as it is.
Yeah, but here's the problem with that.
Go ahead.
Is that there is a profound difference from a subjective awareness point of view.
Yes,
between being wrapped up in duality, where we're totally immersed in our particular soap opera, the movie on the screen of pure awareness, we'll put it that way. And once one realizes that we're not destined to stay in that mode, no matter how it's suggested. In my case, it was a spontaneous experience that just popped.
Yes.
Now, maybe it's natural for human beings to occasionally have their left brain shut down and just see things directly. Maybe it is, and we've sort of evolved our way out of the ability to drop into that state. But that state is what we're talking about here.
Of course, and that creates this classic seeking, right?
Yes,
of something that was missing and something that wants to be achieved, and something that needs to be
story of the old
And
Well,
the
you
seeking
have-
will just go in this cyclical looping
Yeah.
because there's nothing to get, because there was nothing missing at that point.
So we should all
then-
like just
Yeah,
be.
there was nothing missing. You know, kind of like, I think you mentioned it's just this, but this is not separate from that this. It's this and that are always this. So the idea that there was something that was separate from this is just another idea that there's something missing. Again, in the absence of idea, it's just this. And it cannot be understood because it will try to go back into that, and it will try to say awareness or any words that will come up. It will try to ride out that idea that something is missing. Although there's no one trying to express that. There's just going to be this narrative, this continuous narrative is also empty.
Well, we're not 100% in sync here yet. It's not all the same thing. In other words, non-duality is not part of duality. It's
Well, if we take
totally
away
different-
non-duality and duality, if we just point out that these are just words,
Yeah, yeah.
isn't it the same thing? Isn't silence the same thing?
It's just not in the same realm as duality. It's something.
But according to
apart
who,
from
though?
that. I mean, it must be something apart from that, because for over 3,000 years, a large subset of humanity have been concerned about this difference. When Buddha said, all people suffer, and he was attempting to find his way out of that for people, he also commented that most of that suffering is self-created suffering. And we do that with our dual mind. I
So
have
this is
this,
just a suggestion.
and
Sorry,
I
go ahead.
want that.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, it's duality that creates our misery. And so non-duality is just not.
If we
part
collapse
of
all the
duality, it's a totally different realm of existence. And if you don't see that, I can't help.
no worries at all. Again, if there's no reference, if all of these stories are collapsed as merely nothing, I'm just suggesting it, right? If there's just this isness, there's no prior, there's no post, it's just this. All that there is this. And if all the words are empty, all the references, even the sages, even the Buddha, if it's seen as empty, just mere words, and all words are created. So in this uncreatedness, in this directness, without a subject or object, without awareness or consciousness, meaning non-duality, meaning non-separate, meaning not even an opposite. It doesn't have any opposite, simply not two. In this wholeness and completeness, it already is. But if you want to talk longer, John, I'd like to pick your and talk about that. I like these kind of conversations. But there are other speakers here and there are other questions.
Yeah. I kind of go.
Message me, John, and we'll we'll go at it at nothing.
I call these brain droppings.
It is because there's no brain to drop. But yeah, if you would like to further communicate about that, there's just a lot of questions here. Or unless you want to keep on going, please go ahead.
Well, we'll give some other people a shot.
Yeah.
If they want to jump into the deep end, and
yes,
come on in. We enjoy, like Leela had some interesting things to say, and
yeah,
and so did Eve and several others, and let's get on.
Let's get on. All right. There's the question here for Zabby. Zabby, read your question.
All right. Zabi, like your session in Folsom, California, when you talked about seeing, it is not a body or eye seeing, right? It is the unknown seeing everything. Yeah, there's no one behind the eye seeing. There's no position in seeing. Like you can't say where seeing starts and where it ends. There's no end to seeing. There's no borders, there's no edges, no boundaries. Yeah. Love it.
And there's some more questions here. I'm just looking at, there's a lot of, hello, everyone. Oh, I'm reading my post. Advaita who goes, there's no I, it's just a belief system. That's also it. Herman goes, a lot of people talk like Emerson. They say with what's been expressed here, apparently, of course. Advaita who goes, there's an I that is illusory, but the person believes it is real. Advaita who goes, exactly, Zabi. And there's a question for John here. How long have you been into non-duality, John? That question is from Advaita who.
I didn't hear that, Emerson.
How long have you been into non-duality?
Well, nobody is into non-duality. It's that we by nature are dualists. That's how we live in the world. If you punch me in the nose, I'll either punch you in the nose back or I'll run away.
Let's not do that.
Yeah. But we have to deal with reality on a dual basis. That's our game. But for some odd reason, we humans, and to some degree, they've discovered this in apes and monkeys. We have another level of awareness beyond the dual. It's lurking in the background. It rarely gets called into action because we're so involved in our duality. That is our life. How we deal with moment-to-moment activities and in our daily minute-to-minute life. That is life. But it is possible to take a shift back out of that dual interaction with the world and see things in a non-dual fashion. And I'm not saying that's easy. I'm not saying that I or anyone else can do that by pressing a button. It's not easy, but I can spend hours telling you stories about how that particular shift has taken place in my life since 1949. I didn't become a guru. I don't make my living, and never did, in this field or any other philosophical field. I was a computer scientist, a mathematician. And I had no interest in this other than the fact I was kind of dragged into it willy-nilly at a tender young age. And I was exposed to the fact that there is another level of consciousness available to us, but that we rarely use it. And that's what we're talking about. That's what Buddha and all his predecessors, and there were a few of them, that's what they were all talking about. The fact that there is more to life than the soap opera that we make out of it.
So what if being suggested if there was no Buddha? So what's being expressed here is just, it's a perspective rooted in illusory, Buddha, separation that may suggest that there's a personal effort such as awareness or consciousness that being present can lead the end of separation. But what's being expressed here refutes this notion, asserting that no experience, no realization or process of becoming can dissolve the illusory experience of real separation. So the I am, or any idea or any knowledge or any kind of understanding, is inherently trapped in a dream of personal process. So missing this unrecognizable freedom that already exists. So there's going to be teaching on how to become. There's going to be ideas or philosophy or religion or spirituality on what can become or what was missed. But this is not talking about something that is a process. This is not expressing something that is missing or an idea or anything that's separate from what already is. What's being expressed here is the completion of everything. In the absence, again, of thinking, the absence of ideas, in the absence of sages and, of sources and everything, in this silence that is being spoken about, it already is. And
Well-
again, this is kind of like speaking two different, languages, right? Because one languaging is expressing something that comes from a place of knowing. This is the unraveling of all the knowing and saying that it already is. It does not require any processes. This reminds me of what Leela was telling me about a book, the Insight or something, Dr. Jill or whatever. That reminds me when she had a stroke and then there were no more words. And in the absence of word is just what is. Similar to the apparent experience of John there, in the absence of words, there's no separation. But seemingly words get in the way, and that creates this separateness. This separateness that is just an idea.
Yeah. But you see, one of the problems here is that everybody calls living in the mode of duality is a total illusion, and it's not. We were brought up, we grew up and evolved as a species in duality. In other words, we have to react to our environment in order to survive. If we do a bad job of it, we don't get to survive and we don't get to reproduce, and that's bad for the species. So duality is not all bad. It's just that some
I'm
of
not
us
saying it's bad.
that's the whole game in town, and it's not. But I don't know if you want to get into that because it's a really heavy
Yeah,
area.
what if we remove just duality, non-duality? Because what's being expressed here is not even non-duality, it's just the isness. Because the non-duality has become a concept now and duality is another concept. So equally, they're both concepts. And what if we throw everything up there and say that it doesn't matter? It's just what is. It's just what is. And it does not require any kind of comparison, that this is better or this is something that is you're missing it. There's nothing that's missing here. But go ahead, Leela.
Well, it would be a good idea to get some agreement on the definition of what the hell duality is. I mean,
Well, I don't think that you need a definition, John. I don't think words are a problem. You can sit in a cave and say nothing like Ramana, or you can have a stroke and have your language capacity gone. The issue is, what are you believing onto those words? Like when Seye, I don't know how to pronounce your name, when you were saying the word peace, there's a belief onto the word peace. There's an embedded meaning, and that is what's in the way. It's not the word itself are letters arranged. It's not even letters, it's black squiggles. It's not even black squiggles, it's vibration. It's not even vibration, it's nothing, it's empty, right? So follow it down, nothing means anything. And it's to become aware of what you're believing and what you're defending, because you're defending a point of view. Why? What point of view? What's the point of defending anything? Or to notice when we are defending, like I'm defending now, no defending. I'm going to defend that we don't need to defend. So anytime we get our hackles up and we want to believe something, or we like a particular word over another word, we like God over a dog ass butt or whatever, then we have a point of view about it and we're putting meaning onto it. And that's where the trap is. It's not the word itself. That's my opinion.
Thank you. That was well said. Thank you so much. It's the seeking of words, the seeking of positions, the seeking of a better this or a better that, right? So in the absence of words, what is even seeking? What's even like, again, if there's really a conversation about non-duality, it's going to be a moot point because there's nothing to talk about. It's just thisness. And the words get in the way. Words are all made up. Thoughts are
That
all
was
made up.
my point about just being playful with words, not letting them stick.
It's like nothing sticks. So words are like, when you put on a spaghetti at a wall, they stick for a bit and they fall. It's meaningless and it's pointless. And I think there's some questions there, Eri. if you want to. I was just supposed to guest here, but go ahead. YouTube, on YouTube.
There are so many.
Yeah.
Little Flanky writes, I want suffering to end. What does that have to do with it? There is already no one who wants that suffering will end, or wanting that it will end is also it. There is no one living from moment to moment or from minute to minute and dealing this duality life. This is just idea or concept or belief, or I don't know, even maybe real felt sense that there is separation, that there is duality. But this is suggesting that there is no duality. And of course, no non-duality also. It's only this, there is already no separation. So it can't become whole, and it's not the state to reach or to maintain. This is already this isness, this trying to get this, or seeking this, or trying to understand this by these words, by understanding what they are talking about. But this is not about understanding. And the one who tries to understand this or get this isn't even there. So there is no speaker, there is no listener, there is no watcher. It's totally empty. There is no one living this duality life. So no one will fall away or getting this. And this apparent seeking, what's happening, there is no one seeking. It's just this also. There is no choice to seek or not to seek, or end this suffering, end this illusion or dream, because there is already no one inside the dream. There is no dream, only apparently. So I can't teach anyone or suggest anything to do to end suffering, or to see this illusion through, that this is a dream and there is no one who could see this too, that there is no one. You never reach where you didn't left or where you already are. It's so simple, it's so ordinary, and it's too simple that it is already this seeking or trying to get this or trying to understand this. There is no one behind doing it, no doer. Belief is a prison, but there is no believer. There is no prison. It's another idea, empty thought, appearing as apparent prison. But when it's seen that there is no separation, there never was anyone inside the prison who got out, who realized this. So that's why saying that you will never get this. I didn't get this. Emerson didn't get this. Abby didn't get this. It's impossible.
This is cluelessness.
Yeah. Knowingness. When the knower died, it was immediate directness, this unknowingness. Liberation for no one, apparently. Garrett, have a hand up. Hi, Garrett.
I wonder where am I at when the questions have all dried up. I usually have some questions, but I haven't got any left. But like Era said, when it's seen, I can't use that wording here. I can't say that when it's seen, because it's not been seen. But
Of course, there is no you who can see this.
Did you mention when it's seen, when you spoke a moment ago?
Probably, yeah, but it's seen by no one. And this is seems to be a difficult part, or for the me, it tries to be this no one who can see this, but no one will see this, no one will get this. It's seen by no one, and it sounds, I don't know, controversially maybe, but it is obvious, clear for no one.
Yes, when the questions have all gone, it seems like one has to sit and wait, but there's nothing to wait for, I imagine.
Nothing will happen, nothing will change. It is already what it is. Apparently waiting something to happen maybe is also this. Just what happens apparently with no one. No one isn't waiting. There is maybe waiting happening, but there is no carrot behind waiting till something will happen. So there is no one who can stop waiting happening. It is what it is.
Yes, yes. After a while of being a seeker, you can predict the answers to your questions after a few years. So, you know, one gets tired of asking the questions, but it's nice to listen to you all and join in. But sooner or later, you have to throw in the towel and say, enough's enough, no more questions.
Yeah, this is surrendering by no one. No one can surrender to this. But apparently it seems like this seeking energy is exhausting itself. No one's doing this. And in the story here, it was, fuck it, I don't care. If I can't get it, then I don't need it. I don't want it. Forget it. And but of course, no one did it. No one surrendered. It happened by itself. So it's just life happening or life lifing. There is no one directing or controlling, doing. There is no choice. If there is free will and choice, then probably you wouldn't be waiting there something to happen. It will be already then realized by no one.
But did you feel it had been realized, or did you feel there was nothing to realize?
Yeah, in the story here, it was very gradual. So it took a couple of months to, I don't know, to see that there is already a couple of months no error. So the falling away apparently happened in the story, but there wasn't anyone in this place or in this location to recognize this. Oh, there is no one.
No. These meetings do seem to be a place for asking questions. As if that's the intention of holding a meeting. It's inviting the listener to ask questions, but do you think that's the case? Is the meeting held so that people like me can ask questions? Because I haven't got any more left now. Unless you speakers, yourself, Era and Emerson and Leela, could you ask the questions instead of people like me on the other side? Or doesn't it happen in reverse?
So the culmination of seeking is not the fulfillment of the individual's need for answers or the satisfaction of their quest for meaning and purpose. Instead, it basically signifies the cessation of the need to know, the end of questions, and the search for answers. It is the costless end of the questioner, which never truly existed.
Answer.
What's that?
I thought that would be your answer.
So the recognition that there's already no duality brings about the end of seeking and the dissolution of the dream of real separation. So this is basically in the absence of the question and the question and the answer is just this. So when it's seen that this is just what's happening, that there's really no happening, the cessation of that seeking or the ending of that apparent story of seeking is seen as just this. And the this that's being expressed here cannot really be comprehended. It cannot be questioned. It cannot be answered. It cannot be even be fully expressed. And even saying this is a little bit too much already. It's saying way too much, because what's being expressed is just this automaticness of something that is happening that's also not happening. It's the collapse of everything, but nothing is everything, basically, apparently, or something like that.
No further questions for the moment. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
In YouTube, Lashan Rangat asking why it takes so long to be awake from the dream, been seeking forever, I feel. I don't know. It is what it is. There is nothing wrong and nothing right. There is nothing happening.
What was the question? Where's...
I started from the end because there are so many.
There's so many questions.
So I'm just scrolling.
Where is it? Why it takes so long to be awake from the dream? Been seeking forever, I feel. What's being suggested is this timelessness that appears as time, that there is seemingly a longing for something that already is. It's quite funny, right? Because there's this usually a measurement of I've been seeking for 10 years or 20 years, but what's being expressed is immeasurable. It's already this. So did time even exist? Did the longing really even exist when it's seen that it's always this? Again, the this that's being expressed cannot be comprehended. It's not an understanding. It's not a measurement. So when it's simply this, the witness of the long time, why does it take so long, becomes irrelevant. Because this timelessness is already what is. But in the story, in the dream, there's this, sometimes there's a dreaming of a long time, and then you wake up and it's only been a minute. Or the opposite. There's a, it's just an illusion, but for no one. So the illusion is that it's not an illusion. The dream is that it's not a dream. It's just simply what is. And the what isness that's being talked about here cannot be talked about because it's already this. Thank you for the question.
Steve, have a hand up. Hi, Steve.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. It occurred to me that we often hear that this is unconditional love. And I was thinking about the notion of conditions as it relates to the totality of how non-duality gets spoken of. And it seems to me that the notion of unconditional extends far beyond love. To the idea of love. It's the unconditionality of thingness, the unconditionality of the arising of the I, the unconditionality of whatever is before one. So that it's what's unconditioned in this non-separable appearance. If one can say that.
I totally did not hear the question. Go ahead, Harry. Sorry, Steve.
There's no question. It's just a thought.
Sorry.
The questions are gone.
Excellent.
They don't appear anymore. It's just ideas pop up.
Yeah.
They're either nonsensical or sensical. And if they make any sense, that sense disappears.
Same.
Thank you.
Thank you.
also to that one who asked that why the seeking happening and so long. When there is this sense of I am, the separateness, it feels like everything is happening and for real and for me. And I will use this dream analogy as in nighttime, you're feeling that it's really happening, and then you wake up and it was a dream. But this is waking up to the daydream that this is now real and this is happening with me. And it's this sense of I am who is moving through time and space, but time and space and I am are illusion. There is nothing happening, nothing moving. It's stillness appearing as movement, but for no one. So this why me or why does it happening? It's actually not happening, but in a story it can feel real. But as there is no one, then no one can do anything to change what is. Wanting this to end is also it. Everything is it. Or wanting this to be different is also just what's happening. Everything is it. Jane is asking, if memory is wiped out for some reason, can this be forgotten again? Can this be forgotten again? I don't know. My mind can't grasp it. One question in YouTube, Herman Sohier, Leela, when you say to someone, I hate you, does it has no meaning for you? Leela, if you are here, maybe you can answer.
Oh, I answered on the underneath. It says,
Ah.
I quote, hate quote, you quote, are three meaningless words. They can be said with a smile or a growl. The meaning is interpreted by the speaker and those who hear. Each has a different sense of meaning projected over empty letters and sounds. That was my answer.
Beautiful.
Luckily for me, I haven't said that recently to anyone, or at least felt it. But I could be saying it as a like, I hate you for doing that, you, or you never know, that's why texting is such a problem for so many people. You miss everything. You miss the face, you miss the voice. And people get really confused and offended at things that may not be meant as. Who knows? Anyway, language is the root of most wars and all that crap.
There's a couple of questions here from Jane. If memory is wiped out, did you read this already, Eric?
Yes, but I didn't know how to answer.
If memory is wiped out for some reason, can this be forgotten again? It's not about a memory or a state or an attainment, right? So it's not something that was gotten and can be forgotten. It always is. So it's not a personal grasping or grabbing or something that I got something that it can be forgotten again. It is already what is, and it is without the input or without anyone. It does not need anyone for this to be this, because it's always just this. Zabi, go ahead. You have a question here. Oh, no, it's the other one. But go ahead. Read the next question, Zabi.
All right. Does the rest of the world exist? No. Where's the world? The world's a story. It's just a story.
Oh, Daggy's here. Daggy, hi. Feel free to pipe in,
Hi,
Daggy. Hi,
Emerson.
Daggy.
I realized something, like driving a car and listening to the Zoom simultaneously is very dangerous, at least here, because it's like the body keeps smiling, the face keeps smiling, and just looking at the cell phone and not focusing on driving. That's not recommended if there is lots of love here for this sharing. But yeah, but like lots of love. Oh my God, so much loving that. Ah.
Ah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
Emerson,
mute.
you should have a disclaimer. Do not operate heavy machinery.
Yes, I'm going to soon. Apparently, if you're driving, do not listen to this. What do you guys think of sand? Science and non-duality. It's just what is. There's nothing wrong or right about anything, right? There's just this expressions of what seems to appear. But yeah, it is just what is. Yeah. There's no positioning here. But I have a feeling I'll never be a guest there. Are my glasses crooked? You're good. Okay. All
No,
right.
you're good.
Okay. Good. Oh, there's a question here. I like this one. What's love got to do with it? Who needs a heart when a heart can be broken? Awesome song by Tina Turner. But my favorite is Private Dancer. Do you know that song, Leela?
Yeah. I was just thinking, this is a little off the subject, Zabi, did you ever consider doing like carpool karaoke, since you're always in your car? Like carpool Q&A? Like riffing, like doing some music interdispersed with like non-dual rapping and Q&As.
That'll be fun. No, I never thought of that.
That's a channel we really could use, I think, in the
Oh yeah, that'll be fun.
Drive-by non-duality. Oh, there's a question here, but what is lying then? I don't know who wants to answer that. It's just what is. Lying or truth is just what is. It's just what seemingly appears as is. There seems to be a narrative, but both are narrative. Truth is narrative, lying is narrative. In the dream, you know what I'm saying, in the story, it is what it is also. Anyone wants to add to that? Please go ahead.
Yeah, lying's just lying. No one's lying. There's no one behind it. It's just what is. What's appearing. Nothing wrong. It's not good. It's not bad.
Jim goes, Sand, is that seeking a non-duality? Oh, there's a question here. If two people are arguing, is it just nothing speaking to nothing, even the emotions are felt after? It's just what is. If the narrative is actually taken out of two people arguing, they're just seemingly just this apparent appearance of this and this and this, and this appearance of arguing is just another appearance. It's just an appearance. It is just also what is. You can also say that it's just empty to empty, nothing really happening. But seemingly, there might be a felt presence or felt sense of separation, a felt sense of being right, a felt sense of being wrong. But even the felt sense of being right or wrong is just what is. Again, this is not about, bypassing saying that if argument happens, that's also what's happening. Everything is allowed. It's just what is. Ooh, question here from YouTube. Who wants to read it?
I can't read it because I'm on my phone right now.
Okay, I'll read it. Lucy from Facebook. YouTube. Some characters' action figures in a story seem to indulge in apparent unloving, antisocial behaviors such as maiming and killing. What is the role of ethics in the illusory world? Who wants to answer that? That's a heavy question. What's being expressed here has nothing to do with what goes on in the world. What seems to appear as this or that, good or bad, but it's also just this. That's seemingly what's appearing too. This is not about, prescribing right or wrong or describing what should be and what shouldn't be. It's just what is. Often what's being expressed here is not spirituality. Well, it's not even spirituality. So it's not about the role of non-duality, because there's really no non-duality. It's just what is. It might seem really callous to say that it's just what's happening, but simply that's just what is. There's no subjective, there's no objective. It's just what is. It's akin to watching kind of like a Discovery Network, and there is this field. There's this lion, there's this gazelle, It's not about the ethics of the gazelle or the ethics of the lion. It's just what is. But in the story, there might be seeming kind of like, punishment for killing and everything in the apparent society. That's also what is. So it's not about saying that the moment that there's no character, there's no more action figures, you name it, there's going to be rampant killings, or it's just what is. The character is going to be a character. So if the character is a killer, it will be a killer. If a character is a lover, it will just be a lover. If a character is just this, it's just this. There's no change in perspective. There's no change in the character, or there's no change of moral or ethics. It's just what is. There is an openness, there's an easiness of seeing that everything is already as it is. So for example, if somebody goes killing, that's just what it is. But also that killer going to jail is also what is. It's not about saying that that's, although everything is seen as innocent, jailing is also innocent. Everything is innocent. So there's no this or that, it's all this. I know you've not been muted, Advaita. Who? Yes, and nobody knows anything. This is just completely unknowing. This is not about a position, although it might sound like anything, but it's not anything at all. Thank you. I'm just going to get my dog out. I'll let the other speakers speak. I'll be back in 10 minutes. Sorry. Just a second.
When this message is heard, can depression remain? You have any comments on that, Emerson?
Anything can happen. It's just everything is allowed, right? But there's simply no one being depressed. It's not about a solution of something. Although when there's seemingly a loosening, and this is just a story, right? There can be a seeing, although there's no one seeing, that there's really no past, no future. It's just what is. But everything is allowed. It could be anything at all. And it's not going to therapy might happen. It's also what is. Not going to therapy might happen. It's just what is. Everything is just what is. So this is not an improvement or a dissolution of something that is. There could be, and this is just a story again, there could be a relaxing of some sorts. There's seemingly an easiness of what seemed to be really held on to because nothing really sticks anymore. So the side effect of this one, although it's not affecting anyone, is just the seeing that this is just timeless, boundlessness appearing as that. And there's no personalization of what seemingly appears. That could be seemingly devastating, but anything can happen. Anything is allowed. Everything is just what is. It's not about a better. because a better seems to be just another idea. It's just what is. But yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to look a certain way, but in the story of Savi, yeah, it's seemingly depression and neurosis and all of that seemingly slowly faded away, and it's just not, seems not to be there anymore. It's like because nothing's holding on. Like Emerson said, like to the past, it seemed to be all empty. Before there was like a grasping, a holding, a replaying stories, and the energy just felt real. There was like a realness to the story. There was like a solidity to the story. And then when that fell away or was seen not to be real, and that there is no past, and that this is everything. There's just nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, sadness can occur. Sadness, sadnessing, happy, happying, laughing, crying. It's like saying that there's no more hunger. Hunger happens, apparently, for no one. So it's not the personalization. It's the allowance of everything, although there's no one allowing. It is just a seeing that everything is just this, including whatever it is. But in the story, again, there was in this character, there was some depression that was happening here, and there was an easiness to that. There was just a, but again, this is not about cause and effect. All of these are just stories. There's a question here on YouTube. Advaita who? Oh no, okay. Not two leads to one, but there's no one. But would that one be a jar of peanut butter? One or two or zero are just all ideas. They're all concepts. You know, saying that this is not two or two and everything. Again, what's being expressed here cannot really be pinpointed or cannot be captured as a finality. It's not about a coming into a realization or coming into a knowing or a state. It's just what is. Already what is. Again, the absurdity of this talk is that it can't be talked about because it already is. It cannot be, this is it, and this is not, because both are just statements. So it's the absence of all of that and the fullness of everything as well. And that made no sense. How long does this meeting run, Eri or Zabi? I don't know.
11:30.
Okay.
I mean, to the 30 mark.
So is it done? Is that all that there is? Yay! Thank you so much, everyone. There is a breakout room. If everybody on the YouTube, if you want to join breakout room, there's a party. There's some. I'm just joking. If you just want to chit chat with apparent characters, there's a whole bunch of nobodies here. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Hi, Jane.
Emerson.
Oh, Catherine is here. Hello. Raj Mahal. Thank you so much. And I will have to end the the streaming. Okay. Thank you so much. If you guys want to join here, I'm just going to add the oops. Where is it? Bear with me for a moment, okay? I'm just trying to end the if you guys want to join the meeting, there is the Zoom link. If you want to join the breakout room, here is the Zoom link. Somewhere. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for everyone from YouTube too.